in-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News.
And thanks so much for joining us. I'm Daniel Marino.
And I'm Britt Moreno. This morning, a state court granted permission to a Dallas woman to receive an abortion, marking one of the only abortions explicitly granted under the state's law. Narrow medical exceptions since that ban took effect.
But Attorney General Ken Paxton is already threatening her doctor with felony prosecution if they proceed. Our Ryan Chandler reports.
Kate Cox, pregnant with her third baby, never imagined seeking an abortion in her journey to build a big family.
Every day of this ordeal has been agonizing for her.
Cox's daughter was diagnosed with full trisomy 18, a fatal fetal abnormality. It could also put Cox at risk and prevent her from having any future children.
This case proves that abortion is essential, life-saving health care.
A Travis County judge agreed, but Attorney General Ken Paxton alerted Cox's hospital and doctor they could face prison time regardless of that ruling, writing, "The order will not insulate you from civil and criminal liability, including first-degree felony prosecutions." Supporters of the ban argue the birth should occur regardless of the diagnosis.
It would be wrong. It would be, hubris. It would be prideful for us to assume we have the authority ethically and legally to take a child's life because we are not sure about a disability.
The order today applies only to Miss Cox's current pregnancy, but her lawyers hope this precedent will lead to favorable judgments in other challenges. They're awaiting judgment in a separate challenge led by 20 women, many of whom faced similar medical emergencies, but say the law prevented their doctors from acting until they nearly died. That case is now up to the Texas Supreme Court. We asked the Chief Justice about that today. He hopes Texans trust that the court respects the rule of law.
It's not a political decision for them. It's a legal decision. And they have to decide cases all the time that are difficult. We just want it to be, we want to not ever do anything that makes it look like somebody didn't get a fair shake.
That was Ryan Chandler reporting. Lester Holt will have more on this story and what it means for other cases and other states on NBC Nightly News.
Going in depth, Edwards syndrome is the genetic condition in the Cox case. It's also known as trisomy 18. According to the Cleveland Clinic, it is a severe genetic condition that affects how the child's body and brain develops. The baby can have low birth weight, abnormalities in their heart and lungs, club feet, and overlapping fingers. Edwards syndrome happens in about 1 in every 5,000 to 6,000 births. 95% of fetuses diagnosed with this syndrome don't make it to full term, and many end in miscarriages or stillbirths. And only 10% of babies born with this make it through that first year.
We're continuing to follow the deadly shooting spree that struck our community on Tuesday. The act of violence took 6 innocent lives and injured 3 others, including 2 officers.
Let's remind you how it all unfolded. We know 34-year-old Shane James Jr. began the day of senseless violence Tuesday morning at his parents' home in San Antonio, killing his parents. KXAN just took video of that home in Bexar County today. His parents, 55-year-old Phyllis James and 56-year-old Shane James Sr.
Now from there, investigators say James drove up to Austin, shooting and injuring an Austin ISD Sergeant Val Barnes outside of Northeast Early College High School just before 11 a.m. About an hour later, he killed 2 people on Shadywood Drive. Just before 6 p.m., he shot a cyclist on West Slaughter Lane. And then about an hour later, police say 2 more people in a home on Austro Loop were shot. And he also shot a Austin police officer. Now we're still waiting on the names of the people killed on Austro Loop, but we do know the names of the victims on Shadywood Drive.
They are 32-year-old Emmanuel Popa and 24-year-old Sabrina Rahman. Now today we spoke to Sabrina's family. They say she was on her way back home from a walk with her baby boy at the time when the unimaginable occurred. They say she did everything she could to protect her baby. It worked, and it showed just who she was.
She was a beautiful mother. She was a beautiful aunt to my 2 daughters. She's a beautiful younger sister, a beautiful daughter to her parents.
Ahead on KXAN News at 6, our Sarah Alshe digs deeper into what the family is going through right now and their message to the community.
And a reminder that Shane James Jr. is behind bars at the Travis County Jail. He is charged with capital murder. You can read more about what we know about James, including his past work and criminal history, under this story over at KXAN.com.
In other news, the investigation is expanding in yesterday's deadly shooting at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. A gunman killed 3 people and injured another. The suspect has been identified as 67-year-old Anthony Polito. He was killed by campus police in a shootout. Investigators say Polito was a former college professor who applied for a job at that university years ago, but was never hired. A witness described the sound of that violence.
We heard the clips of semi-automatic weapons just going for what felt like about 30 seconds. It was a very, very disturbing thing to hear.
Police also searched an apartment in the Las Vegas area looking for a motive.
And today, Connecticut lawmakers, gun violence survivors, and families held a news conference to remember the lives lost in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting as the anniversary approaches. This comes as Senate Democrats are trying to make gun reform changes. Next week marks 11 years since the shooting at Sandy Hook took the lives of 26 people, mostly children. Today, Senate Democrats tried to pass an assault weapons ban, but it was blocked by Republican senators. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer criticized Republicans, but some GOP lawmakers say the ban demonizes rifles and disrespects gun owners. Representative Jim Hines of Connecticut says it's something he will continue to fight for.
We are not letting this go until Sandy Hook doesn't happen again.
And yesterday, President Biden released a statement following the shooting in Nevada and here in Texas. He says more needs to be done, like passing an assault weapons ban, a national red flag law, enacting universal background checks, and much more. Now, these are topics we looked into in our Stop Mass Shootings series. We started this after the Uvalde school shooting last year. You can find our in-depth reporting on topics ranging from mental health, gun regulations, tracking suspicious activity, and much more under this page over at KXAN.com.
First warning weather with meteorologist Nick Bannon.
A lot of clouds out there as we head into this evening from our Whittlesey Landscape Supply camera there in Round Rock, but a warm wind pushed temperatures up, upper 60s and low 70s still. A few degrees cooler than our high, but about 5-6 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. And that's thanks in large part to this warm wind out of the south, about 5 to 15 miles per hour now, but gusting over 20 miles per hour at times here today. And it's going to stay mild this evening, 66 there at 7, 65 at 9, 64 at 11. It won't be a night that the temperatures drop quickly. They will drop oh so slowly. Coming up in First Warning Weather, we'll show you even warmer temperatures for your Friday ahead of a weekend cold front and the potential for a storm next week.
All right, thank you very much, Nick. Well, we're waiting on a vote from Austin City Council that could change housing options here in the city. The worries over moving more residents into Austin neighborhoods.
It may be a little warmer outside, but we feel the holiday coziness in our hearts. The 2 Texas towns ranked nationally for making you feel warm and fuzzy.
Well, we are expecting a vote on the long-awaited City of Austin Home Initiative. The creators of the proposed changes to the city's land code say that it'll provide better housing options for middle-income families within the core of the city. But proponents don't agree. Now, the Home Initiative would allow up to 3 housing units to be built on a single-family property that's currently only allowed to have 1 or 2. Supporters say more dense living would create cheaper housing options, benefit Austin's mobility, and provide a space for Austin workers to live in the city where they work. Proponents, though, argue this initiative will only lead to more gentrification, especially in East Austin, and would force people out of their homes. About 1,300 people have signed up to speak at City Council today, some of them for the first time, excited for their voices to be heard.
Felt really validated from my opinion, and I hope that members of the council can actually take in consideration the issue at hand.
Now, Mayor Kirk Watson says he will propose an amendment that would require city staff to compile an annual report if Home passes. This would allow the city council to see the impact of the policy and the impact it will have on housing in the next 5 years. Now, our Grace Reader has more on the vote ahead at 6 and tonight at 10.
An allergy check for you as both mold and cedar stay low, but they're both trending higher. We'll show you a cold front that comes in this weekend that may allow Cedar to jump in first warning weather.
Aid for Israel and Ukraine is in peril on Capitol Hill after Republicans blocked a first-round vote on President Biden's national security package. This because of a stalemate over funding for the U.S. southern border.
Lawmakers are racing to get back on track as Israel marks a solemn milestone today. Here's NBC's Alice Barr.
Today marks 2 months since Hamas terrorists killed 1,200 Israelis, setting off a war with devastating consequences for both sides. Health officials in Hamas-run Gaza say more than 17,000 Palestinians have now been killed. The Israeli military asserts it's made progress in killing Hamas field commanders and destroying hundreds of Hamas tunnel entrances. U.S. officials say Israel is now considering flooding those tunnels with seawater, though they may contain some of the roughly 140 hostages Hamas is still holding.
Every day that he has to continue living this hell, it breaks my heart.
As U.S. officials ramp up pressure on Israel to protect civilians in Gaza, President Biden spoke today with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Debate over setting conditions on aid to Israel, part of what's holding up a massive national security package that also includes funding for Ukraine. Republican lawmakers refusing to support that aid without major new investments in U.S. border security.
To President Biden, you're the commander-in-chief. I want to help Ukraine. I know you do too. You got to help America first.
President Biden said yesterday he is willing to make significant compromises on the border. But after bipartisan immigration talks broke down, the president stressed that without new U.S. assistance, Ukraine will run out of money to fight off Russia by the end of the year.
This cannot wait.
A small group of senators set to meet today aiming to restart border negotiations in search of a compromise that could unlock urgently needed aid for U.S. allies. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
While a white Christmas in Central Texas is unlikely, there are still plenty of opportunities to have a cozy holiday season. 2 local cities have been named among the coziest winter towns in America. In a new ranking by New York travel guides, Marble Falls ranks 40th on the list. Fredericksburg ranks 96th. Those are the only cities in Texas making the top 100. The website compared 575 small towns across the country and graded them in 3 categories: popularity during the winter with the public and photographers, cozy weather, and cozy activities and atmosphere. That includes things like festivals, history, and of course, a good old coffee shop, which we all need.
I wonder what the definition of cozy weather is, other than like chilly with like a fire on.
Right,
you know?
yeah.
Yes.
It's got to be a little cloudy, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Central Texas, it could be 70 degrees. If it's cloudy, it's cozy. That's the way I see it.
Well, it's a little cozy outside right now then with the clouds. Let's take you out to Granite Shoals, our Whittlesey Landscape Supplies camera there. 70 degrees, plenty of clouds, but not completely overcast. We do have a little bit of blue sky out there. I think we'll get much more tomorrow afternoon. Still plenty of clouds streaming in from the west and southwest though here today, and I do expect some low clouds and even fog building in for tomorrow morning. Highs today 71. We think we add 5 to 10 degrees to that high for the temperatures tomorrow. Should be a noticeably warmer day and the warmest day of the next 7. Upper 60s and low 70s across much of Texas right now. You'll see what temperatures do tonight thanks to cloud cover and a little bit of wind. The temperatures really don't get all that chilly. Down to 61, 62 here tomorrow morning, and then we're up to 76 by early afternoon. We're forecasting a high of 78 tomorrow in Austin. As far as the cloud cover goes, you can see the clouds try to clear a little bit this evening, and then the low clouds come back as we start your Friday morning. And that'll be mixed with a bit of fog and even the chance for some drizzle. But by the middle of the day, the sun's coming out in the hill country and our eastern counties. The last places to clear, likely the metro, but you'll get sunshine for the afternoon, and then temperatures should jump rather quickly once that sun is out, combined with a warmer wind. And then the low clouds come back as we head into Friday night into Saturday morning. So tonight we'll call it 61 with some low clouds and fog developing, especially later in the night, and going with a high of 78 tomorrow. Morning clouds, fog and drizzle, a lot of blue sky in the afternoon should make for a fantastic second half of the day after a cozy morning, we'll call it. All right, here's your weekend forecast. Partly sunny skies on Saturday. We do have a cold front coming through late morning in the hill country. early afternoon in our eastern counties, and right around the middle of the day in the metro. This is going to bring us a 20% chance for a few spotty showers and maybe a thunderstorm. But you'll notice the wind blowing in the cold on Saturday, 72 on Saturday, and we're down to just 58 for the high on Sunday. What type of wind are we talking about? Well, Saturday morning, it's still a southerly wind, allowing temperatures to rise into the 70s. But then in the afternoon, the northwesterly wind and a northerly wind starts to really gust 20 to 35, maybe gusting as high as 40 miles per hour Saturday afternoon and evening. You can see some of these gusts between that 30 and 40 mile per hour range. Still Saturday night, this could lead to some localized isolated power outages. This is not a major wind event for us, but you'll notice the wind and it may cause some localized problems. Wind starts to back off as we head into the day on Sunday, which should still be rather breezy. There's a low chance for a few spotty showers late Saturday morning, early afternoon, and then that cold front clears and we go dry for several days. But our rain chances do come back on Wednesday, especially west of 35, and Thursday also mostly west of 35. A slow-moving storm system tries to move into central Texas, and I think it's going to be wetter for you in the hill country than everywhere else, but that's where we need the rain the most at this point. Looking at our first warning weather 7-day forecast, you'll see the temperatures up and down. Up tomorrow, dropping on Saturday, down to 58 on Sunday. Monday morning, a widespread freeze. We're forecasting 33 in Austin, but below freezing in most places. 64 Monday afternoon, 65 Tuesday with more clouds. And there's your rain chances Wednesday and Thursday.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. Well, we've heard the word of the year, and now we know the color of the year. Pantone's color of the year for 2024 is peach fuzz. Pantone says peach fuzz captures our desire to nurture ourselves and others. It is a stark difference, I should say, from this year's vibrant color, which was Viva Magenta. Now, calm colors seem to be in trend. Sherwin-Williams color for 2024 is upward. That is a breezy, blissful blue. Our Christopher Adams made it possible for you to view all of the colors from over the years under this story over at KXAN.com.
I know I sound like an angel, but I'm not.
A Virginia lady celebrating a big birthday, and she's crediting a specific game for keeping her young.
Right now, Richard Engel in Israel. Tonight, his interview with the recently freed hostage, her story of what life in captivity was like. And a Texas woman's appeal before a judge for the right to end her pregnancy, what the judge has now ruled on Nightly News.
These days, we all need a little good news, even a little celebration. And one Virginia woman is doing just that. She's celebrating a milestone birthday.
Well, after 2 fights with COVID, pneumonia, a fall, and a stroke, for Miss Marie, it is time to party. But for her, it looks a little different. Abby Coleman joined her for her birthday celebration to see what keeps her so young at heart.
What's your secret to staying so young?
I wish I knew.
Marie Principe may be 100 years old, but don't let that fool you.
I know I sound like an angel, but I'm not. I say what's on my mind, and after I do, then I say, oh God, I shouldn't have said that.
Marie celebrated 100 years on Wednesday, a milestone she didn't know she'd get to.
Everybody, you're going to be 105 days and 4 days and 3 days. And then I started thinking, gee, I guess I'm really going to make it.
Over the past few years, Marie's faced COVID and pneumonia twice, a small stroke, and a fall. But her daughter Carol Trutt says she takes it in stride.
Yeah, definitely. Can't with my life.
One way she stays young, Wii bowling.
Wii bowling, I love that.
She told me she only bowls on Fridays, but she showed me her technique.
Now, all right, now you talk a lot of smack. Let's see what you think about my technique, all right? So I'm going to do it.
Same thing.
But her real tip, take it one day at a time.
If it's a good one, fine. If not, I just stay in my room and sleep.
She tells me her friends, her large family, and her faith keep her enjoying life.
Here I am, 100 years old, and I have all these wonderful people around me.
Miss Marie has it figured out, doesn't she?
She's
wow.
great.
More to celebrate tonight. It's a holiday classic with Christmas at the Opry starting at 7, followed by a new Dateline at 9. Then back here for KXAN News at 10.